All right, if you're a real estate agent that is wondering, how am I going to grow my social media this year and I'm going to grow my influence so that I can grow the opportunities in my business, I have got the answers for you today. I've got the man himself. I've got Omar Rashid. He is going to share with us exactly what he does, not only in his own business that is generating over 60% of his closings, but he's going to share with you what he's doing for other agents to see growth and see opportunities like you can't even imagine. All right, Omar, this is a conversation that you and I kind of had offline, and I was like, man, we got to share this with some people, dude. I love what you're doing, and this is why I love these kind of conversations is I love being around the people that are next. I mean, I truly do believe this. I've watched and we've talked and I've seen what you've been doing, seen how you've gotten here. And so I love agents that are never saying we've never done it that way because, y'all are the next generation that's going to lead this and doing things uniquely. And so I'd love to start with give a little bit of your background because I think some people think sometimes that things just happen, but I want them to hear the process you went through, which is pretty inspiring to me.
100%. And again, thanks so much for having me on. I'm super excited and just talking offline. It's been great. So glad to be on here. And yeah, I mean, long story short, I'll give you the little glimpse of the Omar life. I'm originally from Ethiopia. I grew up there. I actually only moved to the United States about 8 years ago. So I'm fresh off the boat. So moved here from Ethiopia. I moved to Baltimore County with my dad. I was a sophomore in high school when I moved over here, and opposite guy of the guy you see right now. Completely shy, had an accent, barely spoke up. I was more just in my books, just because as an immigrant, you have 3 to 4 options. You're either a doctor, lawyer, engineer, or maybe like a computer science major. There's no other option. So for me, I had the mindset of, I moved here from Ethiopia, third world country, to the United States, where in my high school, Pikesville High, shout out Pikesville High, we had like laptops and iPads. I was like, what the hell is going on? Like in my head, I was like, this is completely different. So I was super grateful, but I knew the sacrifice my dad had to make to, bring us here and get us here. So in my head, I was like, okay, I need to figure out a way to get my dad back to the same position that he was in back in Ethiopia. And the only way I knew how was to go to med school, be a doctor, and then change his life in 15, 20 years, or however long that took, right? So I stayed in my books, did my thing. It wasn't until about like my senior year of high school that I really started to come out of my shell. I joined the soccer team, got into a little bit more leadership roles. And I had a teacher for a program called Avid. I don't know if you know what Avid is. I think we
Yeah, I
talked.
do. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Avid honestly changed my life. They really push you to do more of just like this non-school stuff, like go out, public speaking, and just meeting people, social skills. So, my Avid teacher and my principal asked me to run for a position on the Baltimore County Board of Education, where there's one student board member that represents all 115,000 students for all of Baltimore County public schools. And I was like, when they said that to me, they brought me into the office. I just laughed in both their faces. I was like,
Yeah.
you guys are funny. I appreciate you guys, but no way in hell. And I like walked out, and Miss Lab came up to me after. She's like, Omar, like I really want you to take this seriously. I really think you have a lot of potential for it, and I think it help a lot of students. Um, Out of the love and care I have for her because of how much she's done for me, I was like, you know what? Sure, I'll do it. I submitted first round of applications along with every other student. Every school gets to pick one student. So it was about 196 applications. And I passed the first round, and then I passed the second round, and then I passed the third round. And the fourth round was just me and one other candidate. I was like, holy shit, this is actually serious. I got to take this more seriously. So did a whole campaign of why I needed to be elected. And then at the end of the day, we had a debate, a one-on-one debate in front of all the students where they then voted, they casted their votes, somehow won, and got sworn in by Governor Hogan, and I was officially elected board member. So I did my time there for 1 year on the Baltimore County Board of Education, and then I got a full ride scholarship to the George Washington University, where I was studying to be a doctor. I was going to go the pre-med route. I was a biology major, and this is where the real estate world comes in. So this is start of COVID. So I think this is May of 2020. I'm sitting in my dorm room around that time, and I'm in my biochem class or something like that, and I watch a TikTok. Again, back to crazy how social media can really change the game. And I watched a TikTok about a guy breaking down how much he made on a real estate deal. It was like $20,000, something like that. But there's so much fluff online now. I was like, oh, whatever, bullshit. I just kept scrolling, but something in me, just real estate stuck in my head. I had no idea what it meant. Residential real estate, commercial, like no clue. Brokerage, development, flipping. I didn't know anything, but just real estate stuck in my head. So a couple of days later, I just searched up real estate near me. And the number one search result was the number one brokerage in DC at the time. And it was zero point 0.2 miles away from my school in downtown DC, the One Street Company. And they looked pretty cool. I went on their website. I started scrolling. I found out who the president and founder was. His name was Samer Qureshi. And I shot him a cold email. I said, hey, Samer, love what you built, love what you've built, been stalking you for a little bit, love your socials, love your website. My name's Omar, I'm a freshman at GW. I know nothing about real estate, but I would love the chance to come and work for you for free. I'll do your social media, I'll grab you coffee. I don't care what it takes. I just want to be around you and learn about this industry. I did not think he was going to respond to me. Surprisingly enough, an hour later, he responds back to me saying, hey, Omar, no one's ever messaged me like this before. Come on down, let's talk. Mind Go by the very next day, Monday morning, I walk in downtown office right by like 5 minutes from the White House, huge building. I go to the lobby and the reception's like, are you sure you're here to see Sam? I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I have to like show her the email to prove it. And she's okay, sure, wait for him. So I didn't understand realtor time back then. I showed up at 9, he showed up at 11. Finally introduced myself and he's like, look, man, I didn't think you were actually going to come. I have nothing planned for you, but feel free to just hang around with me all day and just see what I do. And he was disappointed about it. But for me, that was a huge win. Get to hang out with this multimillionaire, runs this huge real estate company. I was super excited. And that day was the day that changed my life. I just watched him work. I watched this guy get a million phone calls, a million emails, respond to every single one of them somehow, some way. We went to showings. We went to his development sites. We did so much in that one day. It was my first time in a G-Wagon. I was like, I don't know what this guy does, but this is what I want to do. Like I was just set in stone. And by the end of the day, he was like, look, Omar, I can't believe you actually showed up. We had great energy. You seem like you're a hustler. Feel free to come on down anytime. And I took that literally. I showed up every day for the next 9 months straight, pushed all my classes to night classes. And every day I was there from about 8 a.m. He got in around 9 a.m. and I didn't leave until he left. And I got a chance to spend one-on-one time with the CEO of, again, the number one real estate team in DC. And in the meantime, I was doing his social. So I was doing his TikTok, his Instagram. We grew his TikTok to like 55,000 followers, Instagram to like 10. We did his company's Instagram. So we did a full social revamp. And again, for me, I didn't even realize it. And I didn't even realize the power of socials back then. I was just doing it as a way in. 9 months into it, he was like, Omar, you need to get your real estate license. I got my Maryland license about 2 weeks later. The day I got my license, I walk into the office, super excited, super stoked. I'm like, Sam, I got my license, blah, blah, blah. And he looks at me, he's like, okay. I was sitting across, he's like, okay. And I'm like, I was like, I thought you'd be more excited. He was like, no. He was like, check your phone. I look at my phone. He handed me a lead. He was like, go show them this house, see what happens. I was like, what are you talking about? Show them this house. I just got my license. I don't know anything. He was like, trust me, you'll be fine. Call me if you need anything. Go. It was a lead all the way about like an hour and a half away. None of the other agents wanted it. It was like a $240,000 listing. And I showed them the house. It was a super, super nice young couple. My first clients, I'll never forget them. And they look at me and they go, Omar, we want the house. What's the next steps? And I was like, yeah, good question. I'm like, I don't know either, but obviously I didn't say that. I was like, hey, absolutely. Me and my partner are gonna give you a call back right after this, walk you through the next steps. The one thing Sam did always teach me is like, just learn to buy time. Like, even if you don't know for sure, buy time, don't misinform, just buy time and, we'll figure it out after. So I call him freaking out. Sam, they want to write an offer. I don't know what to do. He's like, come to the office. We'll go to the office. He calls the listing agent, gets all the info, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, he does the whole deal. I'm just kind of watching by the sidelines. And 2 weeks later, I had my first closing. My clients are through the roof. I got a check for $5,000. I've never seen that much money before in my entire life. And I was just like, this is it. Whatever this golden nugget is, this is it. And then it was just domino effects from there. I think my first 6 months, I did about like 4 to 5 million in sales. And then the next year was my first full year. I did about 12 to 13 million in sales. My third year, I did about 17 million. And then this year, we'll probably end up around 22 million. We ended off at like 21 and we have a couple closing right now in January. So just been a crazy, crazy ride, unexpected during my real estate journey in between 2023. I got a lot of demand. People asked me, Omar, like, who's doing all of your content? Who's doing all of your marketing? Because mind you, all my business was coming from either socials or online leads and open house. But
Right.
socials were like my primary, I'd say about 60% of my business. So everyone just kept asking me, yo, like, we love your videos. Who's doing all your stuff? And I was doing my own stuff. So this one actually team lead hit me up saying, hey, Omar, would love to get coffee with you sometime. I was like, sure. He seemed like a nice guy. I got coffee with him, and he was trying to recruit me. And I was like, look, man, like, I love where I am. I don't have any want or need to move, but like, I appreciate your time, and it was great connecting with this. Okay, look, like, it's fine if you don't want to join my team. What would it take, or what would it look like for you to do my marketing? And I had no idea. I was just like, I don't know. Like, I just kind of threw it off. And he was like, no, tell me, like, what would it cost? Like, you do it for Stammer? Like, what does it look like? And honestly just wanted him to leave me alone. I wanted the way
Right.
out of that meeting.
Yeah.
And he was like, how much does it cost? I was like, start off the craziest number that came in my head. I was like, 3 grand. He was like, done. I was like, wait, what? He was like, yeah, what's, and then same thing. I was like, all right, let me buy myself some time. Like, yeah, absolutely. I'll send you all the onboarding documents. We'll get you set up. We'll get you going.
Yes.
Had nothing, went home, created a new email, Omar social media at gmail.com, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, he ended up being my first client, was paying me 3 grand a month to do his socials. We grew him. I think his TikTok's about like 65,000 followers right now. His Instagram is a little bit less, I think like 3,000, 4,000 followers, but we focus heavily on TikTok. And that was my first client. And that's when Refitified got born.
Yeah.
And he was my first client. And from 2023 to 2024 now, we're a team of 12. We work with the biggest real estate agents and teams in the area. We are, white glove partners for TTR Sotheby's, Compass, KW, like all the top agents, top teams use us. We do everything from their social media marketing to all of their listing media, all that kind of good stuff. So like we're a full in-house marketing agency for them. We'll do anywhere close to about $800,000 in revenue this year. And I'm just super excited for 2025 to really just skyrocket that through the roof. And the more agents and more teams are starting to realize the power of video content and marketing. So
Yeah.
I'm super excited. And I think you're the same as me, where it's like, we're all about collaboration over competition. So other agents like, you're an agent. Why do you have a meeting? Like, hey, like, trust me, there's more than enough room for all of us to do great
Yeah.
marketing, great content, and all crush it. So
Yeah.
that's like
No.
the long story short of the Omar life.
No, it's amazing, and the thing is that is a lifetime that just happened in the last 6, 8 years. I mean, in reality, on the real estate side, it's 4 years. We're 5 years in. This is year five, right? I mean, basically.
Yep.
So, this is what I really want to focus in on is because not only have you done it and you're generating 60% of your business on social, but you have such a data set with all of these top teams and agencies and companies that you're helping do their social media that you're going to have some unique ideas and understanding of what agents can be doing. So this is where I want to kind of get into that because I know there are agents watching this. There's agents that are like, I'm just not sure what to do. And so what I would love to do is let's talk a little bit about like that first when you take on a client or you're talking to an agent, what would be the first thing you would suggest they do to start growing on whether it be, and I want to talk about in just a minute the difference between TikTok and Instagram, but just on social in general, what's the first thing you suggest they do to start building some momentum?
So, I mean, depends whether you're using an agency, whether you're doing it yourself, it doesn't matter. I think first things first, you just got to start like genuinely, like, and I mean this, like, just put yourself on camera and just post. Like, that's the hardest part. And even to this day, some of the biggest agents I work with, they're still like they still struggle with that. Even you, Jimmy, I think me and you were talking about this, we still struggle with it. Where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I should post this. I don't know. Like, just post. Like, and again, it sounds super cliche, but I promise you, if you can get the momentum going up, let me put my face out there, let me put myself out there. Because a lot of people were scared of, oh, what? Because here's the thing too, and trust me, I hear it from everyone, and it comes from me too, where it's like, what's that one agent that's in my office going to think about this video? What's this like
Yeah.
people that they're not going to buy homes from you, they're not going to sell homes, they have nothing to do with your life, with the growth of your trajectory. Like, we always think of the most random people. It's like, oh, what's that cousin of ours going to think about? Just
That's
don't
right.
care. Like, I think that's the number
Yeah.
one piece of advice I give you. It's like, trust me, the people that engage with you, the people that like you, that people that trust you, that know you, they're gonna love your videos. They're gonna support you, they're gonna push you. The ones that don't, great. Easy way to find out who not to surround yourself with.
Exactly right. No, I tell you what, Omar, I've said this too, is like, look, your first listing appointment was never your best listing appointment. You know what I mean? And so it's the same way with video. You're going to get better and better as you do this. And I will tell you this, if somebody tells you, oh, I don't get nervous on video when they started, they'll lie to you about other stuff. Don't believe them. They'll lie to you.
The guys that people like praise online and we do their content, we do a lot of their content,
Most
takes
insecure.
15 takes to get that video. But again,
Yeah.
obviously, everything looks glamorous and pretty on Instagram and TikTok. But I promise you, the amount of revisions we have to go through, the amount everything's teleprompted, like it's not at, like you said, you're never that good. Like everyone,
Yeah.
it takes time. You get used to it. Yeah, now maybe it takes Jimmy 3 takes to do a video instead of 12, but it's fine if it takes you 20, but then you start working your way down. Like it's a process. And I feel like if people and agents showed a little bit more of like the behind the scenes of like, hey, like this isn't as easy as it seems, people would feel more comfortable. And obviously we don't do that. We just show the highlight reels of like the finished product and it's all pretty and glamored up. So first,
Yeah.
first biggest piece of advice I could give you, the most cliche, and I'll give you more tactical ones too, but is just start posting and get used to posting. And just that mindset barrier is the biggest barrier you have.
Yeah. Is there a consistency type that you have that you suggest for people on TikTok or Instagram? And then I want you to break down the differences between the two, if you don't mind.
For sure. So I would say the best piece of content, and literally the way I break down, and people pay me literally thousands of dollars a month to do this, is like the way I break down the types of content that you need to do is it needs to be two things. Your content either needs to be educational or entertaining. It has to hit one of the two. If it's not either educational or entertaining, then why are people watching? Like anytime you post a video, you have to think, okay, what is this going to benefit the viewer? Like in what sort of way? So it's either you're entertaining them, you're getting the attention that way, or you're educating them, you're getting the attention that way. So it's never about you. It can never be about you. It can never be about Jimmy. It can never be about Omar. It has to be about what can Omar do for Jimmy? What can Jimmy do for Omar? So every video I'm pumping out, I'm like, okay, like what kind of value can I give? Whether it's towards agents, clients, sellers, developers, what kind of value can I produce? So I would say the first piece of content and probably the easiest one that you could do, especially yourself, where you can literally lift up your iPhone and start recording is educational style content. Educational videos, they're actually at the core of our packaging, our offering. It's at the core of what I do, to where you're just educating your people, right? It doesn't matter what it is. It's people that follow you are already people that like you, know you, and trust you. So if you're the person that's constantly feeding them with education of real estate, the most basic stuff, like most people don't know that you don't need 20% down to buy a house. Tell them that. Did you know that you could
Yeah.
buy a house for 3%? Like, it sounds super basic and generic to us being in the real estate profession, but for the people that are watching these videos, the young professionals, the people that have never bought and sold homes, they don't understand this. Here's the importance of, like, let's say you're on the seller side. Let me see how I can mute this thing because it keeps beeping on me. Can you hear it
Hey man,
again?
that's all that good marketing is
That
people
real
trying to
estate,
reach out, right?
I
That's
know.
right. Yeah. No, that's great. Hey, as you're getting that done, let me ask you this as well. And well, while you're doing that, let me give you a suggestion. Go follow Omar on TikTok, on Instagram. You will see what works. Here's what I always say is if you want to know what's going to work in your market, odds are, especially if you have a similar client base, if you go in and you look and you just pull up, I'm going to use Instagram in this case, you can talk about TikTok, you can see the number of views, you can see the engagement. I click reels and I can see which ones are 5xing his average. Model that in your local market. It will absolutely, I promise you, it'll 5x your stuff in your local market as well. So just get focused in on some of those things that you can see other people doing. Put your own spin on it in your local market. It'll absolutely work.
Jimmy, you know what we charge $3,500 a month and $5,000 a month packages for is to copy other people's content. Literally, the way
Yeah,
I go about
right.
my session and my strategy is okay, let me see what's working with the top guys in real estate. And I literally put a spreadsheet together, I copy and paste it, and then I find a way to make it somewhat different towards the current client that we're working with or towards
Right.
myself, whatever it is. So there's no recreating the wheel. It's find out what's already working and do a little bit of a twist to make it a little bit more Jimmy, a little bit more Omar. That's it.
Yeah. Hey, do you find is there one of the and I'm using these two. I don't know if you want to talk about any other, platforms. I want to focus on those two mainly because of how they're so video driven right now. But is there one that gets more engagement than the other? Is there one that's more a different type of content? Can you talk about the contrast between the two and what that should look like?
So Instagram and TikTok are two different beasts in my opinion, but very similar like parents, you know what I mean? So the way I like to look at it is like Instagram is like your resume. Like Instagram is genuinely right now in 2025 and beyond, that's your resume. No one's
Agree.
ever asked me for my resume. People look on my Instagram, that's how they look up who I am, what I've done, that's how they judge me. I've literally had developers want to work with me strictly off my Instagram. Like, hey, we already saw your stuff. What's your list price? Like, what's your list fee? 2.5%. Great. Let's lock. Like that's literally it. Like people judge you based off your Instagram. It's your resume. So with your Instagram, you want it to be like as polished as possible. That's where I tell you maybe do the high end content. Go hire a videographer for $250, whatever it is, and have some of that polished content. It's okay to have some of the more organic, natural ones too, but you want a good balance, right? You want people to come back, okay, like he's the real deal. Like we were talking about this before, where versus my TikTok, you might come on my TikTok and it's a little bit more casual, right? It's a little bit more me just picking up the iPhone. It's like, hey, if you're looking against for real estate, these are the 5 steps that, you know what I mean? It's like, it's more intimate, more casual. There are videos of me in my pajama, you know what I mean? That's where you can be more open, direct to camera. And you don't need any of that high end quality edits. Like right now, I'm about to post a podcast. I just posted a podcast with Dan O'Neill on my Instagram.
Yeah, it was great, man. I saw some of it.
Thank you. Yeah, it took a week to get done, blah, blah, blah. I'm about to post the same content on TikTok, but what I'm going to post is just the behind the scenes that we took from the podcast we shot and get it. So TikTok's a little bit less edited, more casual, more direct. You can be yourself. You can be a little bit more open, a little bit more funny, a little bit more direct versus Instagram. In my opinion, you want it to be a little bit more polished, a little bit nicer. And it's kind of like, those are the way I differentiate the two. And TikTok does well with like genuinely like the iPhone content. Like instead of like, again, we got a $6,000 camera and we got an iPhone but like this does better on TikTok, but this does better on Instagram, but this does really well on TikTok. So those are really the two ways that I would say differentiate the two. And then really just like with TikTok, it's about trends a little bit too. Like if you can hop on a good audio, you will crush. I've had videos where it's like very generic videos, but the audio is trending so much that you can slap that audio behind it. You can even turn it down all the way to 0, but as long as you have that audio on there, it can pull a ton of views for you. And then a hack too is like, and this is like guaranteed every time I want a viral video. If you can do a video with a trending audio and you want it to be anywhere from 6 to 8 seconds and it's text on the screen, right? It's like you're writing down, here's how much it costs to buy a $500,000 house, and you're breaking down the numbers, it's on screen, and it's some sort of video of you walking, you showing a house, doesn't matter, just some sort of video in the background, text on screen, audio in the background, viral video.
You're talking about the video, actually the text on the video, not in the description, correct?
On the video, correct.
Okay, great.
I've seen those on Instagram. I know what you're talking about, where it's like look down below, and then it's like
right.
at the bottom, like a long caption. Yeah.
And they shorten it because it has more views. And I've thought about this way also, as I've thought about Instagram. Basically, what it's done throughout the years is obviously it has been what Meta has done to compete with everything. So whether that be, when you're looking at Instagram stories, that's more in line with the type of content you would do on TikTok. You know what I mean? When you're looking at Instagram Reels, it's more working on some of the things that you'd see on YouTube or some of that Instagram TV stuff we saw back in the day. And then Facebook, obviously, with the having the posts. So one of the things I'm curious about, though, is as you're looking at and you're breaking that down, what does that search process for things that are working well for other agents work? What does that look like for you? Are you searching terms? Are you searching specific people? What does that look like? Is that research process? Because I think that's one that people skip, and it's really, in my opinion, the most valuable thing you can do prior to posting.
I think we get paid the most for that process the most. Like I tell everyone, there's a million videographers, there's a million media companies. And I think the hardest part and the most important part, like you said, is that planning phase. Like even if you're shooting content on your own, I tell everyone, you should have a planning and a scripting day. That's the hardest part. Once you have it planned and scripted, the shooting part actually isn't that hard. And you get used to being on camera. So people, I'm so scared to be on camera. No, you're scared to be on camera because you're not prepared, because you don't know what to film, you don't know what to do. And it's overwhelming. But if you break it down into 2 separate processes where it's planning and scripting, and then shooting and editing after, and obviously hopefully you're outsourcing because your time is worth way more, then your life is much easier. So the way I would say is, right now, yes, we have a Rolodex of like most of the people and profiles on Instagram that we like and follow and usually pull content from. But I literally go on TikTok search bar or Instagram search bar and I just search real estate. It's a little bit easier on TikTok, and then you can also filter it, right? So you can filter it by most viral in the past 6 months. So TikTok, you can do this. I don't know about Instagram. I usually use TikTok as my main one. And then it'll literally pop up all the most viral videos in the past 6 months. You can do it by relevance. You can do it by hashtag, and it'll show you just a long list of videos. So there's talking head educational ones. There's different property store tile ones. There's dancing videos if you're into that. Like whatever it is, there's so many different styles, and you just pick and choose. And what I do too is I literally just create an Excel sheet, and I let my clients pick from it. I'm like, hey, here's a
That's
choice.
great.
Which one you want? So yeah, 100%. I would say just rinse and repeat. Don't recreate the wheel.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I mean, and that's super helpful too. And I will say one of the things that we've done also is if you find agents that you kind of want to model after, in other words, you like the way that it looks, it sounds like it would be in your voice, and they're in other markets. That is a great way to just make almost a list of people that you go and check consistently and watch and see. We're talking about catching trending audio. What I like to do is if I've got that list of 10 to 15 folks that are in line with what I'm doing or the agent that I'm working with, is we will go, if we're going to have a shooting day or we're getting ready to prepare the content calendar for the next week, we'll go to those folks and I will look just in the last 2 weeks, what is the most popular reel or video or piece of content that they have done in the last 2 weeks. And when we start seeing something that trends up 2 to 5 times more than their normal, and if it goes above that, immediately try to get that thing out because it's happening and it changes so quickly. It gives you an opportunity there. So let's talk about some of that from a standpoint of if you were telling an agent right now that was wanting to grow, they were serious about it, would there be a type of content calendar for each? I mean, is it every day? Is it twice a day on some? Is it use stories, use reels on Instagram? Is there anything in
100%.
particular that way?
So there's a mix, right? If you're because you don't want to go full throttle and do it for a week and then stop, right? So what I recommend
Absolutely.
is do it as much as you possibly can, and you know you can stay consistent. So what I recommend if you're starting off is 3 times a week. Think just a Monday, Wednesday, and a Friday post. If you can stick to a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Mondays can be an educational video. Wednesday can be a listing video. It doesn't even have to be your listing, like just highlighting a local listing in the area that you love. And then Wednesday could be a business spotlight video or something fun, trendy, whatever it is. But if you can dedicate 3 posts a week, I promise you'll start seeing growth. You'll start seeing engagement. You'll get more comfortable on camera, which is the most important part. And then you'll start to realize, like I tell everyone this, like even when they sign up with us as clients for Refitified, or whether they're reaching out, like I'm selling real estate, I'm talking to another agent. It's like you're not gonna like we're not a lead generation service as a media company or even as your Instagram. Like you're there to build a brand to where people start recognizing your name and your face. Like I didn't have developers off the bat start being like, hey Omar, like no, they started seeing my content on a regular basis. They started seeing the quality, the type of work. They're like, oh, I see this guy all the time. I need to reach out to him. Like you want anytime someone thinks about Jimmy, you want them to think real estate. And the best way to possibly ever do that, you can't cold call enough, you can't door knock enough, you can't do enough open houses. The only way where you can make one video, and potentially reach 3,000, 2,000, 5,000, 100,000 people is by making content, right? So if you can just do it on a constant basis it's a numbers game. So I would say stick to a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule every week, and I promise you'll start getting a lot of growth. And then obviously the more you can ramp it up. Like my goal for 2025, believe it or not, starting January 15th is 2 posts a day, morning and evening, every day. And over that amount of pieces. So I'm horrible at math, but let's say you do 2 a day.
Yeah, it's gonna be over 700 pieces for the year. Yeah.
Guarantee one will hit, and you just need one to hit.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me say this, and I've kind of seen this, and maybe you've seen it differently. I'm going to use Instagram because you understand TikTok a little more than maybe I do Instagram. But what I've noticed is the average person, until they get to about a tipping point of about 2,000 times that they've posted on Instagram, during that portion, if they've done 500 posts, reels, videos specifically, if that helps, typically they're going to have about a 10x audience on the number of posts they have. So if they're looking there, you're going to have somewhere between, if you want 5,000 people, do 500 posts, and you're probably going to be between 4,500 and 5,500. Odds are too, if you do that many, you're going to realize, if you study the data, you're going to find what they want, and it will accelerate faster than that. But it is a numbers game. And so the more that you post, and the better the quality. Now, listen, I don't want to just post just to post, but the better the quality, And the consistency is more key than anything. That was what we were talking about. I always tell people, find a pace where you can have peace and that you can get it done. You're at a point now, you didn't start out doing 2 a day. You weren't even doing that last year. So now you're at a place where you feel like you can have the peace to do that 2 a day and get it done. So start consistently on this, study what others are doing, start applying this stuff, and you're going to absolutely get some amazing results. Talk to me about what this looks like. I mean, I think a lot of people that have never generated any business from social media, they're like, but I don't understand. I'm not doing a call to action. I'm not doing it. Tell me, what does that typically look like as far as the flow of, from them reaching out, or how do they reach out, and to actual contract time? Right.
So I'll give you a perfect example. I mean, one thing too is that like, so I'll give you a couple different scenarios. One is there's a huge pool of agents. Agents itself is a huge pool of business. And
Yeah.
a lot of people are like, oh, like I literally had a client tell me this, and I yelled at her, and she's like, okay, Omar, I believe you. I was like, hey, let's do this type of content. No, like I feel like that's just gonna attract other agents to watch my content. She's like, I hate all these agents who just have other agents to follow. I'm like, that's a great thing. Like, why do you
That
not want
is.
other agents to follow you?
Yeah.
Not of
Yeah.
agents that hit me up like, hey Omar, I think I saw that you sell in DC. I have a client that I literally just got a referral from Seattle a week ago. He's like, hey Omar, this lady just bought in Seattle. She has a house in Hagerstown, Maryland. She needs to sell. I think I saw you do Maryland as well. Absolutely, bro. Hit me up. Let's connect. 25%. Like agents are a huge pool. Like you just built a network of people that trust you, that like you, that watch your content and go, okay, like he's a pro without ever meeting you, but now they have that trust in you because they saw your content, they saw your page, they saw your resume, your Instagram, and they're like, oh, like I can trust I can trust to send my client to Omar because he seems like a beast. What other way are they going to do that without, you know what I mean? You have to be in a referral group or you have to be in the same brokerage, whatever. This completely eliminates that. Like he's with Compass. I'm not with Compass. He doesn't care. He's like, Omar, you're a beast. You're going to take care of my clients. Here's a lead.
Yeah.
Right. So agents is number one, a huge pool where it's like they see your content on a regular basis. So anytime they think about that market, you're the person that comes to mind. If every video I'm like showing you the best development in all of Washington, D.C., hottest new listing in DC, okay, DC real estate, Omar, boom. Like you want to pull people to think of your name when they think of certain things. Like I said, anytime someone thinks real estate, you want them to think Jimmy. Anytime they're thinking Florida, wherever it is, you want them to think you. So just create that atmosphere of being that person in your market. So agents is the number one pool. I get a ton of business from agents. Number two is just regular buyers and sellers, everyday buyers and sellers. Like when they see your content on a regular basis to where it's like, hey, like you can buy a house with 3% down. Hey, there's a new program in Maryland where if you use HPAP or whatever it is, you can pay off your student loans. Like when you do this type of content, you'd be surprised the amount of people that respond to your story will DM like, hey, I saw that video. Is that real? But because you're an authority figure, you're not just one of these online gurus or spitting stuff. You're in their local market. They seem like they feel like they know you, they like you, they trust you. So they're gonna hit you up really direct, like, hey, I have a question about this. So it might not be, hey, I want to buy this house on 123 Main Street. Let's go now. But it's like it starts with the conversation. Then you go, hey, let me shoot you a text. What's your number? Let's talk. Bam, that's a lead. And like the way I tell everyone too is you got to treat it like an actual business, right? Like for me, let me see what the name of the app is. But when leads come in on Instagram, it's like tracked for me. Like when I'm sometimes I'm responding to leads on my laptop because it's like I see it as like business. I'm not treating it as just just a regular lead. Like you got to
Yeah.
actually bring it in, follow up with them, respond to them. So that's one. People just respond. And I tell people do stories all the time too. I always post different homes on my stories. Check out blah blah blah. I put like polls, how much you think this is, 500,000, 700,000. And people respond, hey, where is this? This actually looks pretty good. I didn't know you could buy a house for this much. But start conversations, start dialogues. Same thing with developers. Like I post a lot. Like my goal for 2024 was like I want to be the new construction, new development guy in DC. So I committed to that. I changed my bio. I had never sold a new development construction project prior to 2024. Beginning of 2024, I put in new development, new sales, work with developers directly. I've had so many developers hit me up after that because I started posting a lot of new development content. The type of content you post also attracts the type of clients you're going to have, the type of business. So really, there's so many different pools. I would just say, just start posting. Like
Yeah.
you'll see it
Yeah.
happening on your own. It's going to be different from everyone, but agents themselves, buyers and sellers directly, developers, like whatever type of business you're trying to attract, trust me, it'll come.
Hey, while you were saying that, I just realized in the last 100 days, I've closed personally over $7.3 million from referrals from people through social media, agents that follow me on social media. So it works. I'm just telling you, it absolutely works. And there were 2 more referrals that came in literally through direct message on Instagram this week from people from other places. So don't shy away from helping and seeing that other agents are following. It's huge as far as the value there. The other thing is actually it is the new CRM. It is nurturing these folks in the way it's not a drip campaign. It's not somebody's not dripping. It's putting the algorithm's put it in front of them. So in reality, what's happening is by the time they reach out to you, you've had the social media and the video has already nurtured them to the point where your average time frame, you and I were talking about this, like when you and I met with Noah, and he was talking about YouTube. His average day from they reach out to him to time he goes into contract, 18 days. And so this is the nurturing program that is happening and can speed up the process where you're having them actually being nurtured by you without you even realizing it.
Jimmy, what I literally was telling this to a new agent the other day. It was like, anytime I close on a home, and you've probably seen this on my Instagram, I do a closing video every single time.
Yeah.
Closing video, or at least photo or something. And at every closing, the question I ask my clients is, hey, what's your Instagram? I'm going to tag you in the super casual. What's your Instagram? Like, I get their Instagram, and guess what? I never have to send out a follow-up tag. We're friends now. We follow. I engage with their comments. They engage with mine. They see my stuff. I just texted. I forget what the number was. I was telling my friend about it because it was crazy. And I was like, I texted 426 people Happy New Year. And obviously from that group, it was a ton of clients, right? And it was like my touch point. And I'll pull up receipts right now. I'm going to share my screen. If you let me share my screen, just so
let me get it where you can.
I have a clients reach out to me. Hey, Omar, thanks so much. Happy New Year. I see you've been crushing it. We'll let you know if I need any, like, they watch, they love it. Like, in their heads, hey, that's my client. That's my agent. You know what I mean? So people love it. Like, I will show you here. Perfect example. I'm going to share my screen. This lady bought a house for me mid 2022, I believe. And then I'll show you another one. But I sent out a text to, here, you'll see here, Janae client. Can you see my screen?
Yes, got it.
I texted her, I texted her, Happy New Year's. Wishing you more life and success in 2025. Omar, Happy New Year. Hope it's prosperous. I've been following you and you're killing it. I appreciate you so much, working as hard as I can. How's little man doing? And we just started talking about her family, blah, 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 all that kind of good stuff. She goes, you got to come by and check out the house. We love it. You know what I mean? Still got a lot of work to do on the house. We love it. I'll show you another client. Let's say Brendan. I'm pretty sure he was Brendan client. I texted him, Happy New Year's, brother. Wishing you well, more success. Thanks for checking in. Hope your new company is doing great too. We're happy in our Hyattsville home. You know what I mean? Like, this is real life. Like, people follow you, they like you, they trust you. And there's no other way, in my opinion, to have that sort of nurture, that sort of touch point than building a brand and posting content online.
Yeah, it is absolutely. It is like we're talking about. It is the nurture, and it is your CRM now. And I'm not disparaging the fact that I use email database, but this is a whole other level of relationship building. And as we continue to go forward, it's just going to continue to be more and more. Hey, let's wrap up with 2 quick questions, okay? Because look, man, hey, look, we're gonna do this again because this is such good stuff. And
we do that at the studio.
Absolutely. So let's say this. What is the one thing you wish agents would do on social media that they don't do?
That's a very good question. What is one thing that agents should do that they don't do?
Or they don't do enough of?
They don't do enough of. I would say, and I got this from Ryan, honestly, but not brag about themselves, but show off the work that they do. Like, no one's going to talk about the work that you do, the level of service you provide better than you. Like, and again, I tell everyone this, and I tell my clients on Refitified too. It's like, it's weird for you, Jimmy, to say you're the best client in town or you're the best realtor in town. It's very weird for you to say that. But if you can get your clients to say that by, again, doing these closing videos, these testimonials, that's a whole different ballpark. So, I mean, most agents, all I see is just like closing videos, like of closing photos or, the sold signs, which I think need to die completely. But if you can get people to talk about the level of service you provide, if you can brag about, hey, like, we do the best marketing for our clients, or talk about the process of what it's like to work with you, or talk about how serious you're like, brag about yourself a little bit, like, not in the humblest way possible. you should brag about yourself or let others brag about you, because no one's going to market you more than yourself. Like nobody. No one's going to wake up tomorrow and say, oh, let me tell everyone how great of an agent Omar is for developers and, send him, like no one's going to do that. So I feel like agents, it's across the board, man. I'm telling you, the top producers that I work with that sell $200 million a year to the guys that sell 10 to 20 to 50, everyone has the same fear in mind of like, oh, like what's that one guy going to think of me? Or what's that one agent? I don't want to post that, because if there's one thing I could tell them, just post about it. Post about your service. You know how great you are. Let everyone know about it.
Hey, I literally just I had a conversation with my buddy Sharon this afternoon, and he texted me. I was asking his opinion on something that I was doing, and he drove this home. And I love the way he said it. He said, "Always focus on the proof instead of just a promise." So, in other words, sharing those testimonials, letting those people say that is going to be way more valuable than you just promising you're going to do a great job.
Everybody
Hey,
promises.
always, always. Let's think about this. What, because I love to know what you're watching right now. What are you thinking is next? Or what is it that you're saying, you're thinking agents really ought to pay attention to this? I don't know for sure yet, but I'm watching to see if this trend is happening or if this is something. You mentioned you're going to do 2 posts a day. What is something that you would suggest agents keep an eye on to see in 2025 if there's something that's changing that can be more effective?
Yeah, I don't think too much of like what's changing, but I think what's happening and has already happened, but I think it's going to go 10 times level, is that like who you are and like the brand that you have and the attention that you have will matter more than ever before. Like it's
I
like,
agree.
if you're with TTR Sotheby's, if you're with Keller Williams, if you're with like now it's no, like who can bring
You're
the
the brand.
attention? You are the brand, you are the client, like Jimmy, Omar, Jessica, whatever it is, like how much attention, how much traction, how much eyeballs can you bring? And I think more than ever before, like you could offer me, I'm not even kidding, like, and this has happened. Like, you can offer me $20,000 right now and lose my following, or 30, 50,000, and I still wouldn't, honestly, up to like probably like 500,000, I wouldn't take it. Because
Yeah.
right now I'm telling you, attention is currency. If you can get
Yeah.
the attention, you can get the eyeballs, everything else follows. The brand recognition, the sales, the
Yeah.
athletes, everything. I mean, I built a whole company based off of it. Like if you can get the
Yeah.
attention, the eyeballs, everything else follows. So I think I would say the trend that I see in 2025 and that I'm following is just super heavy on content, and then also long form content. Like if there's one thing even I'm slacking on is we're going back to everyone's kind of the dopamine hit or a real thing, and it's very hard to get attention right now. But I think we're starting to switch over to that long form content again. So you can see with TikTok, they started doing the 10-minute videos, which is trying to compete with YouTube. Instagram soon is going to have the more longer form features. So for me, at least personally, what I would recommend everyone to do is 100% focus on the short form, build it up. It's a lot easier to grow following that way, but then go to long form. Like I was talking to you about it. I was getting advice from you guys on how to grow my YouTube. Like YouTube, in my opinion, TikTok long form, I think that's the way for 2025. And then obviously AI too. There's a lot of AI tools that I'm seeing right now on a day-to-day basis on both the marketing front, the real estate front. I just signed up for this app where I can literally pull any home on Zillow and stage it directly right on my phone. It's an AI staging app, completely free. I think it's like 99 cents. So there's a lot of things, but I think just mainly content, attention is
Yeah.
currency, and AI.
Love it. Love it. Hey, as far as like your company, I mean, you're just regional there, local, right? At this point, I mean, obviously that's just the DC metro area where you're servicing. If people are in that area and they're interested, they can reach out to you on that. But where would you say that people, man, first off, dude, this is really good stuff. I
Thank
mean,
you.
look, you can tell how much passion you have for this. And I know that, I mean, first off, I love the story. And I can't wait to see what this next chapter is going to look like in your life. I mean, if you're sitting here, what are you, 24 years old? I'm guessing 23. What is it?
22.
22. Come on, man. I mean, what are we doing? So anyway, I can't wait to see. This is what's exciting is man, you got me excited tonight. I know everybody watching this. What's the best way if they want to reach out, follow you? What's the best way to find you that they can connect with you?
So Omar Rashid underscore is my username for everything. Instagram is probably best. TikTok as well. So it's OMERRESHID underscore. Shoot me a DM, TikTok, Instagram, whatever it is. I'm happy to chat and just chop it up with you guys.
Hey, man. Good stuff. This is going to be super helpful. I know that you guys got some value out of this. Make sure you thank Omar, you reach out to him and stay connected with him, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching the video. I specifically chose the video below for you because it builds on the one you just watched. I hope it's helpful, and I'll talk to you soon.